Welcome back, ladies, gentlemen, and NBs, and thank you for tuning back into St. Andrew TV, a cure for your Monday blues. I am your host, Andrew, and today we are going to be working with our hands. We are doing a form of crafting. What we are doing today is making Old West bounty posters. Now, all the steps you see today are trial ran by yours truly. This is something that I did for a film that I recorded some years back. And the final product came out to be very desirable and it looked authentic to the time. And everything that we will need is just an everyday household object. So follow me along and let's make some posters. Now, as we begin, you can see that there is a computer in front of me, and this can even be done on a smartphone in any variety, but we do need a format to what we are going to print out, and then we are going to age a little bit. With that being said, what is on my computer screen currently is what you see in the corners, and I will keep updating you with what is on my computer screen. I do apologize that I'm not tech savvy, so I can't screen record my laptop because I do not know how to. Now, this is the baseline of what we're working with. This is my own unique variation to my take on a bounty poster. Yours can read a couple different things. It doesn't have to be exactly what you see here. I went for the more spaghetti Western approach. Low budget, everything's very linear, very black and white. You can tell a little bit more low budget. We have the reward, wanted, dead or alive, and we have a list of crimes that this particular individual is suspected of committing. I guess the only thing missing is, a suspect that we can place on the poster itself. I'm trying to think of a fellow YouTube colleague of mine that I could see committing crimes of this magnitude. I know, how about TUCO the rat? All you have to do for an image like that is find the person that you would like to put on the poster, turn it into black and white, and then you can throw it through a little sketch generator, and it makes it look hand-drawn as what it would be in that time frame. Now, with that out of the way, we know our suspect, and we know the crimes that they are accused of. What do you think the price should be on this very suspect? In better words, what do you think TUCO the rat is worth, dead or alive? Given the laundry list of accusations towards TUCO the rat, I would say that a generous number would be $5,000, and that certainly is a pretty penny considering we are trying to make an Old West poster. $5,000 is nothing to shake a stick at. So now that we have our format laid out, all we have to do is print it out. Now, if you have a printer, it does take up a decent amount of ink. However, if you go to like an Office Max or a Staples, I do know that at least here in Arizona, that if you were to print something, it costs, I think, 23 cents, so it's very cost efficient. And then when we move into the next steps, you will see how cost efficient it is. So let's print this thing out and move on to the next steps. Here is what it looks like printed out, and I do think that it looks very, very good, but it needs to be worn a little bit. My sleeves are now rolled up because of the next steps of the process. This looks good as is, however, it looks like it was just printed. It doesn't look like we are in a town with dust kicking everywhere and some less desirables moving around and everything that the Old West would present. So what we're going to do with this is we are actually going to start by crumpling it a little bit. It doesn't have to be super creased. It doesn't have to be, full power when you're crushing it up like this. All you want to do is give it the illusion of looking worn. So you can see the creases and everything in it now. And what I have in front of me is the next step. I have a baking tray that is obviously a little bit taller than a sheet of paper, but I have old coffee in here. And what that is going to do is that is going to stain the paper. It's going to give it that off-white, even that eggshell look, even into a light brown, a golden brown, if you will, to make it look like this piece of paper, this bounty poster, is well traveled. This is giving it the worn look that we talked about previously. And my dumbass wore white sleeves, and there is coffee right in front of me. I don't know what I was thinking, but I didn't do much of it if I was. So all you do is you take the piece of paper here, and you are going to set it in the coffee. And this can work with anything. You could even put brown food dye in water if you don't have coffee at your disposal, or anything like that. Anything to just stain the paper. That's all we are doing currently, is staining the paper. As I said, we are just giving it that worn look. That's all we are doing here currently. And I leave it submerged for about 2 to 3 minutes. I pull it, dry it out, and then I will submerge it again. That gives me the most desirable color and complexion of the poster itself. That is what I view as the authentic Old West Bounty poster, kind of almost like a yellow, or like I said, a light brown or a golden brown, even that off-white or eggshell color. Now this step is very important. After you let it sit for about 2 to 3 minutes, you have to be extremely delicate when you pull the paper out of whatever you're using to stain it. The paper is going to be very delicate, and you cannot afford to rip it or do anything like that, because you'll have to start all over again. And this is a very messy process. I don't suggest doing this step over again. If you have to do the other steps over again, maybe like formatting, or how you want it to age a little bit, that's fine. But the staining process is a little bit messy. You don't want to do this twice. So grab your bounty poster and pull it out like so. And you can see it's relatively flat. When I've done this before, when it dries, the creases will come back. And that is dunk number 1. Like I said earlier, you are going to hang this up and let it dry until it is back to being a normal piece of paper. And then you are going to resubmerge it back into your little concoction to stain it again. You really want to bring out that color and give it that look. As I've sunken this down for stain number 2, or dunk number 2, whatever you want to call it, the other things that you will need after dunk number 2 and it dries out to where it's back to a normal piece of paper, you are going to need coffee grounds or dirt or something that you can put on your fingers and kind of rub across the poster, and that's why you want to make sure it's dry. You don't want to rip it in any way. But I'm going to use coffee grounds because this whole batch of coffee that I made was specifically for this video here. And then the second thing you're going to need after it's completely dried out is you're going to want a lighter. And that is precisely when we go around the edges. We want to burn the edges a little bit. Don't set it on fire because, paper goes up relatively easily. You don't want to burn down your home. However, you are going to want to give it that wear and tear around the edges to make it look, as I said for the 4th time now, aged and well-traveled. So let's dry this thing out and move on to those final steps. And here is what it looks like after it dries. Full disclosure, I'm working on 2 of these because I wanted to film this in a timely manner, and your pal Andrew did not dry off his hands, so I actually put my finger on it while it was still drenched in coffee. So, like I said earlier, not thinking too much today. With that being said, we are going to move on to what we discussed previous to this drying. We're going to move to the coffee grounds portion. And all you want to do is put your hands in there, or if you get wet dirt or something like that, just kind of get your hands like this and run it across the paper like so. You want it to look weathered. You want it to look mean. You want it to look very authentic to the Old West. And that is all I'm doing right now, is just giving it that look that has been in people's pockets. It's been up on a bounty board. It's, hand delivered through, the proper channels to apprehend fugitives and such. Do it on the back too. Don't be shy. It's a messy process, but it's a cheap, messy process, and those are my favorite. So like I said earlier about me not thinking too well, I actually like that I touched the paper while my hands were still wet, because that's going to dry and it's going to look like, rain got on it in some way or water got spilled on it in some way. And I think that's a nice touch. I did not do that with one previous to this, but let's just go into the final step of the process. Anyway, this is the one you're going to want to be the most careful with because you are working with fire. And like I said, paper goes up very quickly. So you're not going to want to scorch it. You are just going to want to accent it around the edges, maybe burn a little bit on the face here. Just be very gentle, be very cautious. You don't want to set your hard work on fire. So all I'm doing here is giving it little burns. You can see that right there. Just a little burn right there goes a long way. You know what I said not to do? Go overboard with the fire? Well, I did, and I put a big hole in the middle of it. So I'll have to go get the second one that we're working on and redo the process. Fucking dumbass. I noticed that I actually set fire to the portion of the poster that reads alive. So it just reads dead. I think that's actually a nice touch, and I didn't purposely plan to burn through the alive portion of this. But as I was saying prior to all this, you can kind of do what you want. And now that I'm looking at it, you could do something like that. You could clearly do something of this nature if you wanted to really add some character to your own bounty poster. And, a mistake, as Bob Ross would say, turned into a happy error. Don't expect the happy errors, but, kind of worked out that way. It's kind of cool now. And I think this adds a lot of uniqueness to this particular bounty poster, because it's kind of just stating like, no, you're not going to take him alive, or nor do you want to take him alive. That's about all I'm going to do with the shading with the lighter here, but I did add 3 creases like this so you could put it in like your jacket pocket or something like that too. If you're going to add this to your character that you're playing, or just want to hang it up for decoration, maybe you're filming something that would require some bounty posters in the back. I think all this in total cost me about $2 to make. Just takes a little bit of American ingenuity to complete it, and this is our final product. We have our little happy accident here, which actually turned it into a very unique bounty poster full of character. Like I said, it removed the word alive, and I think that's kind of interesting, especially when you are in the game of trading human lives for cash. But there that is. That is how you make your Old West bounty poster. And like I said, you don't have to follow the exact guidelines that I gave today. I was just giving you a rough foundation of how to do this and make them look very authentic to the less tame Victorian era. Anyway, that wraps up today's video. Please leave a like if you've enjoyed today's video, or leave me a comment stating what you liked, or tell me what I should do next. I have a Patreon that is linked down in the description below, or it should be appearing at the bottom of your screen right now. If you would like to continue to support the content on YouTube, please feel free to donate to the Patreon. I am only community funded. I do not take sponsorships or ads on these videos. But feel no obligation to do so, as the content on YouTube will forever remain free. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed as of late, but for those of you who have come across this video or this channel, maybe because you like the Wild West content, maybe you just wanted to learn how to make an authentic Old West bounty poster. Or maybe you just wanted to stop by and see the actions that are going to cause the potential consequences for me putting a $5,000 bounty here on TUCO the Rat. Think about hitting that subscribe button, because you're a daisy if you do.